Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this morning. We've got a great show lineup, a special guest here in Studio B. But first, let's take care of our weather. Brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, a new advertiser here on Panhandle Outdoors. We're glad to have Drew Pollard, a small business owner. Ask you to support him. And remember, he's got that Panhandle Outdoors special. Instead of $99, it's going to be like $75, $79 to get your tune up and all on the air conditioner. So get that checked out. I'm going to do that. High today, 74, low 64. Water temperature is 63 degrees. And a Monday moon forecast. We got a full moon coming this week. It'll be this Saturday. Got all kind of exciting things going on outdoors. The only thing not cooperating for outdoorsmen today is the neap tides. We just don't have any tide going on. And we're not going to have any tides really but until Thursday. But Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, some great tides. So take a look at that. Our wind's going to be coming. We're in those March winds now, south-southeast at about 17. They just started blowing a couple of days ago. And this time of year, we know what's coming on. So be prepared for it. Try to get out of the wind if you're in a boat and all to do some good fishing. And just be careful if you're in a smaller boat out in that open water. Make sure you have that life jacket on. We're going to take a break and come back with our special guest. Welcome back, and a familiar face here on Panhandle Outdoors, Captain Michael Capt.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you, buddy. I always enjoyed having Michael. I love his story, how he just started as a young man, started catching fish, and just kept on doing it.
That's right.
So what have you been up to?
Been pretty busy running guide trips. It's starting to pick up a lot, and the fishing's been good, luckily. And like you mentioned, the spring winds are really picking up, so just trying to stay out of the wind. And luckily, the little bit bigger boat, got a new boat, makes it a lot nicer to cross in the bay when it's rough, and it just makes it a lot better.
Well, tell us about, your dad told me about your boat. Tell us about let's start with the boat. What you got now?
It's a Mayak 25 Extreme. My last boat was the 22, which we've had on here a bunch of times and stuff. And this one's the 25. So it's basically the same boat, just bigger. I got a Mercury 350 Verado on the back, and it's really a mind-blowing boat. When I heard what people were telling me it was going to do and everything when I got it, but I just wanted to go up in size for running guide trips, because when you get 3-4 people on a 22-foot boat, plus myself, it gets pretty crowded.
Yeah.
And just going out when the wind picks up and just being more comfortable with more people on board. But everyone was telling me that it would be just about as fast and float just about as shallow, if not shallower than my last one. Which, believe it or not, it really does. Its draft's truly about 13 inches for a 25-foot boat.
Same way the other one did. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And y'all went out there to Texas to pick it up or something?
That's right. So they're out of Corpus Christi, Texas. So it's a long drive to get down there and pick one up. But it took about 12 hours getting down. Traffic wasn't that bad, and about 13 and a half getting back towing the boat. But
so they sort of customized. You sort of like ordered it or something?
Yeah, I just got one built, and they're semi-custom, I'd say, so most of them come a certain way. They'll change stuff for you and do it however you want, change some stuff, and not totally custom from the ground up, but you can get it built however you want it to fit your needs. So went all the way down to Corpus Christi to pick it up and made the long drive straight back.
Y'all drove back? Went out, picked up, drove back?
Yep, drove down, got there late that night, woke up the next morning, picked the boat up, and came right back.
I always look at boat builders, and it's funny, most of all the really good boat builders in companies, they're somewhere around the water.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere close to the water, because those guys are out on the water, and they're the ones thinking about do this and do that. And so that's Corpus Christi got some water around it.
And there's a lot of boat builders down that way. There's a lot of them, yeah.
That's one area I'm not familiar with, but I do know they do some serious fishing over there.
It's very similar. I fished there once, and I thought it was going to be totally different being so far away. But it's actually very similar fishing to how we fish here.
Okay.
And I was kind of nervous to go down there and just go for it, and just without really having much information or doing the wrong thing, because you always see those Texas boats where they run real shallow and everything. And I just looked on the map and said, this looks a lot like some of our stuff here. And I went there and did pretty much what I do here and started catching fish. So it's not all that different.
You brought up a good point. That's if you love fishing and know a little bit about it, you can go somewhere, study it, and be successful.
Yeah, just like a bass in Florida is not that different than a bass in Texas. A redfish or a trout they're pretty similar. They may hang out a little bit different or, feed on a little bit different bait, but what they're doing is about the same.
Now, would Texas be similar to Louisiana, or is Louisiana in a class of its own?
The part of Texas I was in Corpus Christi, is more similar to Florida. While it's
Okay.
big open grass flats and clean water and very similar to Florida. As a matter of fact, when I went a little further south, they had mangroves down there and stuff.
Okay.
And Louisiana is more of that marshy, brackish water.
Yeah. I didn't know. I've never been to the Texas area. I often wonder how they. I just know that they fish serious out there. Just wondering what kind of fishing it was. That's interesting. All right, so you got it back here, and you got it wrapped and all that, and got it.
I'm working on that right now.
Okay.
I got the design put up, and we're just gonna finalize a couple things, and then I'm getting the truck and the boat wrapped to match.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be kind of like my last setup was, boat and truck.
Well, when you get it finished and all, send us a picture.
Yeah.
We'll show the folks and all.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very proud of you for getting all that done.
Thank you.
So you started a guiding service. You already had some trips this year.
Yeah, it's been a busy year so far. Last year was shaping up to be a really good year for me, and then about this time, all the COVID stuff went down. We all know that, but and that kind of killed everything for a little bit until at least things settled down and started to pick up a little bit later last year. But this year it's just been hot right off the gate. I've been busy pretty much most of the year. Now it's really starting to pick up.
We've talked about that, Michael. Everything is just about to bust loose as far as people being more confident and getting the shots and everything looking better. And one of the things they're going to do, they want to go fishing.
That's right. I've been having a lot of people from up north. I've been getting people from New York and Wisconsin and Michigan, and where I'd get a few every year, they're over half of the people I've took so far this year. And not only are they trying to get away from the cold, but I'd ask them, what brought you down here this time? And they said, well, we just can't do nothing up north. Everything's shut down. So we're lucky to be able to still go out and go fishing and do what we love to do here.
That's great. Are you getting it? I've always, the northern guys I fish with, I just get a kick at them because they have a passion for fishing too. Especially I have fished with guys from Minnesota and Michigan and Wisconsin. Those three states, it seems like they just really, I really enjoy fishing with them. You seeing some of that? Those guys come in and they know what they're doing.
They love it. They try and convince me to go up there and go ice fishing with them, but I don't know if I'm going to take them up on that because I get cold sitting in the tree stand here when it's 40, so I don't know about that.
That's funny because I had the same experience when I went tuna fishing in Venice. It was part of our party, a couple of guys from Minnesota. It wasn't that far from Canada. They invited me. I got an open invitation to go ice fishing. But I'm like you, I get cold in the tree stand too.
Yeah, no, I can't do it.
But they said, Coach, you won't get, they'll keep you warm. They got a tent and all. They're pretty well sophisticated now. They got chairs and a kitchen. And I said, that's not fishing. But
yeah, that's right.
I may, if I was your age now, I'd do it. Just go up there for the adventure. So, those guys are good fishermen. Okay, where do you keep your boat?
I keep it at my house.
So you trailer it then?
The trailer. I try to
Good
keep
for
it out
you.
of the salt water, and we know what that'll do to a boat.
Yes.
I could get it like a bottom job on it, leave it in the water down at JDF Marina by the Hathaway Bridge where I run out of.
Yeah.
But I travel so much fishing that it's just easier for me to have it on the trailer, drop it in the water, and then because the next day I may be going down to South Florida or to Louisiana for a tournament, so it's just easier to keep it on the trailer.
Yes, and those trailers are big enough now. They make them so well you can move around pretty easy.
Oh yeah, that thing tows like a dream. It's got a coastline trailer, nice wheels and everything on it. It does really well.
That's cool. Michael sent us some pictures. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and look at some of these pictures of some really nice fish, and we're going to talk about what's coming up this spring and how to fish, how all of us can fish this spring to catch those big redfish. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back. Sitting here with Captain Michael Coward, fisherman extraordinaire. One more time, tell the folks how you got into red fishing.
It just started out, luckily me and my dad met Bill Allen, and he started taking us out wade fishing down by the bay, down by, just kind of out by the bay point by the pass, and we would just go out there and wade fish, and we didn't really know what we were doing. Dad grew up in Alabama bass fishing, so he was just trying to bass fish in saltwater, which isn't too bad of an idea for catching trout and reds and stuff, but there's some minor differences. And luckily we had Bill to kind of show us, what we were doing wrong. And, I just remember being so small, wading.
You were little.
Yeah, and they would be, knee deep for them, and it was like waist deep for me because I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember catching some trout out there on a little topwater popper. I remember that. And it was just a whole lot of fun, and that's just kind of got the ball rolling on that.
Yeah.
Thanks to Bill Allen showing us the way and teaching us some stuff. Otherwise, we would have been It would have took us a lot longer to figure it out, I can tell you that.
Well, it's just a great combination. With a good friend, he had the knowledge of it, he's willing to share it, and then y'all had the passion of learning it. So it's just everything blended together. I love that story. I love sharing that story. Again, it's a testimony about, you don't have to grow up here with 3 generations of learning how to fish. You can come down here and learn how to fish over and over again. So I got a couple of pictures. You're talking about a pretty redfish. Tell us the story on this one.
So that one was here in Panama City. I was going out trying to find some fish for some clients that I had coming up. And I actually took that picture myself with a self-timer on the phone. That's why the tail's chopped off. I couldn't see exactly where I was.
You set the timer on it.
Yeah, so it turned out pretty good, but that was a pretty nice fish. I didn't actually measure him, but he was 12 pounds, and I'm sure he's 30, 35 inches somewhere in there.
That's a beautiful fish. A little bit over tournament size.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, what about, you got these two right here?
These are 2 guys from a trip the other day. That was a funny story. We'd fished all day. They wanted to catch redfish, and we were catching trout all over. And we were trying so hard to get a nice redfish. And we had caught, I have no idea how many trout. It must have been dozens, and good trout. And then at the very end of this bank, it's about the end of the trip, and we gave them a few extra minutes really trying to get a redfish in there. And then I'm telling them they just threw. And I said, when y'all get those in, we're going to go ahead and head back in. And then as soon as I said that, they both doubled up on 2 nice reds right then on the last cast of the trip.
I love that last cast story.
Yeah.
How many times as a captain and fisherman have you used that last, one more cast?
That's right.
That's great. And then this last one here.
That was over in Steenhatchee. We were looking for some fish for the new North Florida Redfish Series. You had Chris on there. That was a nice red that me and Brad had found. And unfortunately, we couldn't find that school on tournament day, of course, but that was, we saw the fish. We were trying to get a gauge on kind of the size of them and everything, threw in there. First cast, pulled that guy out, a really nice tournament fish. So we were like, all right, we'll back off these fish, leave them alone for tomorrow. And of course, we had a real low tide that morning, so everything kind of changed, and it was actually a lot lower weights than I think anybody was expecting for that tournament. So a lot of things changed that day, but we couldn't find them, tournament day, of course, but that was one of the fish we were on there.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you. I like to talk to these tournament and bass fishing the same way. You go out there Friday or Thursday or whatever, you do that pre-fishing, and you work hard at it. I know you do. You go over here, over there, and all, and you find them. Most time, a good fisherman, you're gonna find them, and you, like you say, you back off.
Yep.
And most of the time, are they there too the next time, or like this situation happens, or?
I wish they were there more often than they are. I tell people, fish have tails; they'll move around. Bass, I'm not that great of a bass fisherman. I do a little bit, but it seems like bass will kind of, if you're on a dock or on a lay down that has got fish on it, they'll kind of stay in that area. But redfish, a lot of times, throw on a big flat. The current, the tide, or bait, they'll move a pretty good ways sometimes, unless they're on something keeping them there. But same thing you said. If I can see the fish, sometimes I won't even cast to them. I can see that that looks like good school of fish that are nice upper slot fish, and that way there's no risk of me messing them up. If I'm fishing dirtier water or there's a bunch of different fish, I'm trying to get a idea on the size or whatever, then catch some. But you don't want to catch them all right before the tournament. Of course, that's not. You don't have them on Saturday then, so don't want to sore lip them.
You don't want to have a sore mouth.
That's right. You need them to bite the next day or on the next 2 days, depending on the tournament, and you'll wish that you had that good one if you can't get one on Saturday.
Do you use your gauges a lot on depth and water temperature, or you use a lot of electronics?
This time of year I will, because with the fronts coming through and cooling the water off and then heating the water back up as we warm up, I try and keep an idea on my water temperature just to kind of really track, what the bait's doing, because we're starting to see a lot more bait show up in the bays and everything, and just kind of get an idea of okay, this part of the bay is this water temperature, and then this part of the bay is over here, just to kind of figure out where the warmer water is this time of year. Seems to have more active fish as everything heats up.
Good point.
But for me, I don't really pay that much attention to water depth or anything, just because I'm fishing so shallow on the flats.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, here's what we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to do our Friday's drawing, because we had that bass video Friday didn't get to do. We're going to do that drawing today for Tarpon Rock Seafood and Los Angeles, and then we're going to get some fishing tips from Michael. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Sit here with Captain Michael Cowart talking about some serious red fishing now going on strong. But let's look at our fishing game times today from Blue Water Outriggers. 117 or 317 this morning. But this afternoon after lunch, 1:37 to 3:37. Okay, let's catch up on our draw. We didn't get to do it Friday. I want to add the names. Y'all still sending names in, which is awesome. Wanda Corbin, Peter Scott from Cottondale had that great picture. Brian, let me separate this. Cornell, Panama City, and Jessica Cornell, Panama City, all the way from Alpha. Folks up there, Connie Chump, Keela James, they've been loyal viewers for years. Annie James from Alpha, and Terry James. Okay, I'm gonna mix all these names up, and then you're gonna draw them out. So
right.
You don't draw your name, get mad at Michael. Okay, we're gonna have to do 2 Los Angeles $25 gift cards. And the first one is all the way from Lynn Haven, Bart Lewis. All right, the second one. Coming all the way from Fountain, Brewster Cobb, the Capt family up there, Fountain. Now let's go to Tarpon Dog Seafood. You're talking about some fresh seafood, they got it. This is gonna be a $20 gift certificate to Tarpon Dog. You're doing good, Michael. All the way from South Washington County, Hunter Simmet. Hunter Simmet from South Washington. And the last one, the Big Red Snapper. And we're looking at from Panama City, Kevin Swanson, Lynn Haven, Fountain, South Washington, and Panama City. Congratulations. And send me your address. I'll mail you those gift cards, and then you run by Tarpon Dock. Okay, quickly, we were talking about red fishing. So what else can you tell us? We got your number on there if we want to go with you, but if people are going out fishing on their own this spring, what can they be looking for?
Well, like we talked about earlier, it's getting real windy, so try and, me personally, I don't like to fish on a flat or on a bank where there's a bunch of waves crashing. You're making a bunch of noise in the boat, and you don't want to fish into that wind. You're running your trolling motor harder. You're not as efficient. You're just making more noise. I think the key to catching fish is being quiet. That's why you see all those guys who pole skiffs around catch so many fish, because they're being so quiet. So I like to get on a flat and let the wind kind of push me, and not be on a flat where all the wind's piling up on it and there's huge waves crashing everywhere. And then we're getting a lot of bait, like I said, showing up. So this time of year is one of my favorite times of year to fish, because we get a lot of life showing up. We're seeing all those big cow rays coming in the bay, swimming around, and all the bait fish, and it's just getting active, seeing small little sharks swimming around and stuff. So just look for life when you're out there. If you're out there and you're just not seeing anything, you're not seeing a stingray on the bottom or bait fish or mullet or anything, there's nothing there. If you're not seeing birds flying over, not saying you couldn't catch a fish on any of those spots, but whenever I see life out in the water, it makes me feel a lot more comfortable that what I'm going for is going to be there if there's all these other fish there.
And you're casting, what kind of rig, what kind of pound test line, everything you go with?
So around here in Panama City, I use 10-pound braid for everything. It's just, you can get that long cast out there, it's super thin, and 20-pound fluorocarbon leader. Sometimes 15 if it's super clear and they're being a little picky, but I like 20. Gives you a little more, strength if you're getting some fish with bigger teeth, or they get it deep and their teeth are rubbing on the line.
Yeah.
And then I've been throwing a Z-Man minnows, the small little 3-inch paddle tail. Super simple, just like a white or like a natural kind of color. And that's been killer. I've been catching a ton of fish.
You've been fishing with Z-Man a good while now.
Yes.
And you're sold on them.
Yeah.
You had a lot of success with Z-Man.
I had a trip yesterday, a guy caught a bluefish, and he was biting all over it. And I finally got the hook out, and then he clamped down on the tail. And I'm trying to pull the tail out of his mouth, and it's just stretching. And this bluefish clamped down on it, and then we ended up catching 3 more redfish on that same bait before we finally retired it.
No kidding.
And that was a bluefish. You know how sharp their teeth are, so.
I know, and it's a white body and what color head?
I'm throwing just like the lead color. It's a trout eye hook. It's got a big eyeball on it, and I like the chartreuse eyeball with just the lead head. That white bait's got a little kind of flake to it, like a silver kind of flake, just to give it a little flash, but
that's
nothing
cool.
crazy.
And what size, what ounce is it?
3/16.
3/16.
My favorite.
I always get a kick out of it. I used to collect old fishing tackle, and the eyes. All the guys that designed the eyes were just a big deal for fishermen on those plugs and everything. So
well, they say that fish strike the eye. They go for the eye when they're targeting a fish. I'm not a scientist, but that's just what people say. So
it makes sense.
Yeah.
They go for the head and all. Now we're right here in the middle of March, really, and then we've got April coming up. How are you going to change as the spring progresses?
I just kind of see how everything's going. I try and stay on fish as much as I can. If I'm not out there fishing, it's, sometimes you might lose track of kind of what's going on. So as long as I'm out there on the water, I can kind of keep an eye on everything. kind of roll with what the fish are doing, and truthfully, just I'll try and as summer progresses, I might fish a little bit more off the beach and offshore for guide trips and stuff. Having the new boat just make it a little easier because bay fishing in the summertime gets a little tough when everything gets super hot. So luckily, usually up through May, it's pretty good in all the bay really.
That's good. What about trout? What's going on with speckled trout?
I was on some really good trout earlier in the year, and a lot of places I've been catching these redfish. Last year I was catching a lot of trout. We caught one pretty good one on a guide trip the other day. We just haven't really targeted trout all that much, but I'll tell you what, I saw the biggest trout I've ever seen my whole life the other day swim by the boat. I couldn't believe it.
No kidding.
Yes. I pushed up on a little flat, and a group of big redfish, like 30-plus inch reds, swim out, and they weren't in a wad. They were coming out kind of one after another going by the boat. I kind of ran over them. I didn't know they were going to be sitting there. And then sure enough, the last fish to go by was a trout that looked about as big as this redfish. I had to do a double take, and when I saw that it was for sure a trout, I couldn't believe it. It was,
Wow.
Yeah, of course I don't catch it, but I just see it. It teases me.
Now it's out there, and maybe they'll spawn and have some more, a lot
That's
more
right.
out there and all. When y'all release almost everything, most of you see a good mortality rate. I mean, a low mortality. Most of them are living and all, unless they're bad hooked or.
Yeah, I've got having a good set of pliers that are real long helps you a lot. Get a fish on hook that's hooked deep, and just take care of the fish. Don't sit there for an hour taking pictures of them and measurements. Get them in and out of the water quick if you're going to let them go. Just get him back in there and make sure he swims off healthy. Well,
that's awesome, Michael. I appreciate you coming out here early and all, and we want to be keeping an eye on these. Send us those pictures and all, and you like the Z-Man and what color and all, and congratulations on your new boat.
Thank you.
And you're getting it wrapped and all. Send us a picture of that.
Yeah, I will.
And I know. Your dad used to outfish you, but I know you're outfishing your dad now.
He has his days.
I know you're watching this one. That's a good way to put it. But tell Miss Calvert hello and all. I know she's working hard.
Kaylin, you're doing a good job working so much.
Yeah,
You need to take a break.
Working hard. And appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. We'll stay in touch. Thank y'all so much for watching Panhandle Outdoors. We always appreciate the viewership. Support our sponsors, and we'll keep bringing you the best we can in the outdoors. Have a great day. God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.